Committee Rule 9, we will now question witnesses under the 5-minute rule. I will recognize myself for 5 minutes. Mrs. Wynn, you said in your written testimony that as former co-chair of Division I Student Athletic Advisory Committee, you had the opportunity to speak with hundreds of student athletes who expressed fears about what employment status could mean for them and the future of college sports. What were some of the top concerns you heard from your peers?
Thank you for the question. The top concern from the student athletes I've spoken to is the ongoing threat of cutting athletic opportunity for thousands of student athletes to pay for the student athletes that generate the most revenue, which would ultimately create an uneven playing field between the athletes. Another fear is the potential decline in the prioritization of academics. Most student athletes who play in college do not go on to play professionally and choose their schools to pursue academics. We fear becoming employees would put a substantial emphasis on job security through athletic performance over the current academic eligibility-centric model.
Thank you. Mr. Nash, like other college students, student athletes must satisfy certain academic standards to gain admission to their universities and to participate in extracurricular activities, including their sport. If student athletes are deemed to be employees under the National Labor Relations Act, could grade point averages or course credit requirements become subjects of collective bargaining?
Thank you, Chairman Allen. We don't know the answer to that, and nor do the advocates of converting student athletes to employees and attempting to have collective bargaining. It is certainly conceivable that the academic rules that apply to student athletes and how they're enforced, and other rules related to their education and the academic environment would be subjects of bargaining. Those are things that are just simply not present in the professional sports leagues.
Okay. Could this unionization undermine academic standards? In other words, the young people would prioritize their work responsibilities over actually getting an education when less than 2% of these young people go on to play in professional sports?
I think the reality of that is probably obvious, right? I think almost certainly if we're talking about what is essentially making the student athletes on these sports as professionals, that's going to be the focus, not academics.
Right. Thank you. Ms. McWilliams-Parker, fewer than 2% of NCAA student athletes turn professional in their respective sports, as I mentioned earlier. What impact would employee status have on ensuring these college athletes can continue to focus first and foremost on being students and on their academic success to make sure that they have successful careers after college?
Look, this conversation about, particularly for our HBCUs and our smaller institutions, I mean, I'm highly concerned about employment because the fact of the matter, our institutions were built in this country to give us an education. Athletics is an ancillary opportunity to allow our students to engage way beyond just getting their degree. Making them employees or changing that status, it really changes the opportunities that we get to create at our institutions and our smaller schools, being able to give them the resources that they need for academic support, for travel, for uniforms, all those things that are important and necessary, especially for students that are first-generational students. So I hope we never lose the focus of why education was established in this country in the first place. Athletics has just been the benefit that we all have. It's a privilege to be able to be a college student athlete, and I hope we don't take that away from them.
Yes, so many young people have been able to get their education and also participate in their sport of choice on the field, and then go on to very successful careers. And whatever we do as members of Congress, we want to keep that as the first priority. And I think that's it behind the scenes here. We're putting other things first, like collective bargaining, unionization, and employee status, and all these other things. And I think we got to work to make sure that academics is priority one.